7 months since my last Don't Starve character guide? Yeah. Well, no time like the present, right? But before we start, I have to ask. Is it hot in here? Or is it just— oh my god, there's an actual fire! Willow, what the fuck?
Which of you numbnuts let us down?
Anyway, it's about time I made a guide on this Firestarter. And just a week away from her birthday, too. No, I'm serious. Look at her compendium. And while we're here, a little lore dump for you all. From a troubled past as an orphan to finding a fresh start within the Constant, time has told that nothing can get between this girl, her teddy bear Bernie, and her love for pyrotechnics. Willow starts with 150 health and hunger, but a much lower than average 120 sanity, so you'll be fighting to keep yourself sane. But we'll soon discover that that won't be much of an issue. Upon entering the Constant, you'll notice 2 items within Willow's inventory. These play a key part of her main kit, so I'll go over those first. Willow's lighter is a handy tool that offers an admittedly small light radius, but a hefty use time lasting up to 10 full minutes. Using it as a weapon will deal 17 damage and has a chance to light enemies on fire, as well as offering a 0.6 sanity gain when held. But that's not all it can do. Willow can also use her lighter to cook any food items in her inventory, taking 1% each time, and cooking done by Willow via her lighter or just at a campfire will be cooked 50% faster than any other character. Both of these abilities are shared with Wily and Walter. And while I'm here, any fuel that she places into a fire will burn twice as long, meaning burning less logs in order to stay warmer. The lighter can't be refueled, for now, and will break when it reaches 0%. However, you can craft more lighters at any time using only 1 gold, 1 rope, and 3 pedals. And trust me, you'll need it once we get to a skill tree. And while I'm here's times 2. Willow has a built-in immunity to fire from any source, be it from a burning tree or a literal magma pool. You can freely extinguish any smouldering items on the ground without risk of damage, and you'll also have a passive sanity gain when in close proximity to fire sources, capping at around 11 per minute. This sanity gain does stack if there are multiple separate fires nearby, so if you're in need of sanity, just drop some items one at a time and burn the entire lot. Her sanity effects don't end there though. Willow has a passive 10% modifier to all sanity sources. This means that things that increase your sanity, like clothing and lunar items, will have a 10% boost to their sanity output. But this also means that things with a negative sanity aura, like monsters and darkness, will also be boosted by 10%. This sounds worrying, but remember you can light fires for days, so sanity won't always be an issue. For the times that sanity is your main issue, don't worry, you have a cuddly teddy bear Bernie to keep you safe. On his own, he won't do much, but you can hold him, and doing so will give you a nice 2.2 sanity per minute boost, as well as 60 points of winter insulation. He can also last 15 days if you hold him this way. If there are insane players nearby, Bernie can be dropped on the ground and will awaken. In this state, Bernie has 1000 health, and will taunt to draw the aggro of any shadow creatures that are nearby. Once the player's sanity is above the 15% sanity threshold, Bernie will deactivate. But once your own sanity drops below 15%, or exactly 18 points, Bernie will transform into Bernie! Now this is an upgrade. Extra snuggle potential. Bernie will now have 2000 health and will actively attack shadow creatures and other hostile mobs that are attacking Willow, dealing 50 damage per hit. Keep in mind though that shadow creatures killed by Bernie will only drop 1 nightmare fuel and won't restore Willow's sanity. Bernie will try to stay close to you, but if you're too fast, too far away, or if he doesn't attack for a period of time, he will deactivate and drop on the ground. You can also just deactivate him and pick him up if you so wished. When Bernie dies, he will drop on the ground in a broken state and won't activate until repaired, but he will only take 1 use of a sewing kit to fully mend. He can always be recrafted again with 2 beard hair, 2 beeflo wool, and 2 silk. You can have multiple Bernies transform, but only if there are multiple insane Willows nearby, so you can only have 1 transformed Bernie per insane Willow. While yes, she is immune to direct fire damage, overheating can still be an issue that needs to be avoided. Willow does, however, have a built-in heat resistance, but that alone won't carry you through summer. Willow also hates winter. Damage done by freezing will now be 2.5 health per second on top of a 1.83 sanity drain. Willow also has a negative 10 insulation stat, meaning warm clothes will be less effective when worn, and she is easier to freeze solid, be that from ice hounds or deerclops. With all that out of the way, Willow's skill tree is all that remains, with trees dedicated to her lighter, burny, and her special affinity skills. So, what new ways can this girl burn things down? Controlled burning will provide a few bonuses. All fires lit by Willow will not only look different, but will now no longer spread to other sources, but you do have the option to make it spreadable by stoking the flame. Mobs have a 100% chance of being lit when hit with a torch or lighter, and flammable loot will no longer come out as ash, instead it will drop smouldering. Cookable items like meat will still drop as their cooked variants, however. Burn duration will increase how long mobs will stay aflame by 3 times. Firefighter will increase the damage taken by fires lit by Willow by 50%. Brighter Lighter 1 and 2 will increase the light radius that Willow's lighter provides by 1 tile in distance per skill unlocked. Now this is where her lighter truly shines. Hungry Lighter is the first skill that is needed in order to tap into her pyrotechnic spells. When Willow's lighter is held, you can right click on it and it will absorb the flames of any lit or smouldering objects or mobs. This works as a channeling skill, so you can still move around, albeit with less movement speed, while performing this action. Ember Tender will cause any ignited mobs that die to drop ethereal embers, the size of the mob determining how many embers they drop. To pick them up, you'll need to absorb them with your lighter. Ethereal embers will disappear if left on the ground for a day. They can stack up to 40 and cannot be placed within containers or backpacks, so they'll have to stay in your inventory. They can be used on Willow's lighter and will restore 45% durability. But now, the spells! Unlocking the skill will also give access to Willow's spell wheel. This can be accessed by right-clicking on any ethereal embers in your inventory, or just by pressing Z. At the moment, the only spell you will have unlocked is Flamecast. Costing 1 ember, this spell will let you cast a fire wherever you choose, dictated by your cursor. This can be used to light mobs, items, or other objects on fire. Mobs lit this way will have double the fire damage. However, this affects this spell and all other spells. Getting hit whilst the casting animation is playing will cancel it, potentially losing any embers you would have spent. Spontaneous Combustion will unlock the Combustion spell, which will cost 4 embers to cast, and will ignite anything within a 2.5 tile radius of Willow's position. This spell will also deal double the fire damage. Fireball costs 2 embers to cast, and will place a fireball wherever you choose. This fireball provides light, heat, you're able to cook on it, and you'll gain a 25 per minute sanity gain, up to 27.5 per minute for Willow players, and will last 1 in-game day at 8 minutes. If you're wondering, yes, this is nearly identical to a Dwarf Staff from a Starcaller's Staff. The fireball is a lot cheaper to make, but it won't last as long as a Dwarf Staff would. Burning Frenzy is the last spell for now, costing 2 embers to cast, and for the next 60 seconds, Willow will deal 25% extra physical damage to any mobs that are on fire. You can tell when this spell is active via a flame circle on the ground under Willow's feet. The extra damage will affect the other 2 spells that I'll discuss once we get to our affinity skills. Now, onto the skills for Bernie. Patch Up 1 and 2 will give Bernie a 1 health per second passive heal. Patch Up 2 bumps that to 2 health per second. Barely Sane 1 will make Bernie transform at a higher sanity threshold, that being 30% or 36 sanity to be exact. Barely Sane 1 pushes that to 50% sanity, or exactly 60 points, before he attacks things. Hot-Headed will make Bernie transform if there are any hostile shadow or lunar aligned creatures nearby, disregarding whatever Willow's sanity may be at. Accelerant 1 will increase Bernie's movement speed by 15%. Accelerant 2 makes that 30% speed. After unlocking a minimum of 4 skills within the Bernie tree, Tough Stuffing 1 will be available for purchase. What it does is increases Bernie's health by 15%, maxing out at 2,300 health. Tough Stuffing 2 increases health by 30%, maxing out at 2,600. After unlocking 8 Bernie skills, Burning Bernie can be chosen. After unlocking, Willow can choose to set Bernie on fire via her lighter, spells, etc., giving him a fiery aura that gives light for 20 seconds. Once alight, any mobs that attack Bernie will be dealt 50 damage to the mob that attacked, with no cooldown on this ability. This can be a nice addition to his kit, making him a tank that deals thorn-like damage when hit. At last, the affinity skills. These ones still require having fought and defeated either Ancient Fuel Weaver for the Shadow perks or Celestial Champion for the Lunar, but Willow's affinities require a little extra work for these skills. For her special lighter spells, you will need to have already spent 7 insight points within her lighter tree for the spells to be available, and for the Bernie skills, 6 insight points must be spent in the Bernie tree in order to make them available. And if you choose one alignment for Bernie, you cannot choose the opposite alignment for her lighter. Also, expect the usual 10% damage resistance to mobs of the same alignment as you, and 10% extra damage to the mobs of the opposite alignment regardless of whether you choose a lighter or a Bernie skill. We'll start with the new lighter spells first, as they are the only ones that are truly different. The Shadow Queen offers the Shadow Fire Razor skill, which unlocks the Shadow Flame spell. This one costs 5 embers to cast, and once cast, Willow will send 5 lines of Shadow Flames in a star-like pattern from herself. These flames will home in on nearby hostile mobs and will deal 60 physical damage and 90 planar damage per flame. This spell will then go on cooldown for 8 seconds after use. Also, expect these flames to do a bonus 10% damage towards lunar aligned mobs. The Cryptic Founder, however, will present the Lunar Fire Razor skill. Costing another 5 embers, this spell will shoot out cold flames in the direction that your cursor is. This barrage of flames will last 5 seconds before going on a 13-second cooldown, but the cooldown actually starts as soon as you've cast it, so you won't feel most of the cooldown. These flames will deal 20 physical damage and 30 planar damage every tick, with 3 ticks per second, and doing 10% more damage to shadow-aligned enemies. Both this spell and the Shadow Fire Razor spell are affected by the 20% bonus damage from Burning Frenzy, but only affecting the physical damage output. Both of the Bernie skills are identical, merely changing which faction you're aligned to, so I'm using Lunar Bernie for this example. Regardless of which you choose, Bernie will... it's for the bit. It's for the bit, come on. Regardless of which skill you choose, Bernie will become Shadow or Lunar aligned, making him take 10% less damage from the mobs of the same alignment and deal 10% more damage to the mobs of the opposite alignment. But on top of that, Bernie gains 5 planar damage towards all enemies and a flat 15 planar defense, as well as planar entity protection, meaning he will be much more resistant to physical damage. If you want an in-depth guide on planar entity protection, there will be a link to my dedicated video in the description. It seems like spicy chili is on the menu for Willow's favourite food, simply requiring 1.5 points of both meat and vegetable value with any additional filler. This meal will provide 20 health, 0 sanity, and 37.5 hunger, being up to 52.5 hunger when Willow eats it. This dish also has the bonus effect of increasing your player's body temperature by 15 degrees over 15 seconds. A hot dish for a girl that can set you on fire whenever she wishes. Sounds about right. Oh, and here's a few example recipes for the dish. And well, it seems this guide has gone up in smoke. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I know it's been a long time coming, but hey, we're here now, right? Wishing you all a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye, everyone. Does anyone smell smoke?